All right, joining us today on Pirate Radio Live, PA announcer at the Lenovo Center for the Carolina Hurricanes. He is Wade Minter, joining us once again during this Canes playoff run that has now taken them to the Eastern Conference Final. Wade, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. It's a beautiful day up here in Raleigh, and we're excited to be back in the conference finals for the third time in 7 years.
Appreciate you joining us on a game day. Wade, what time do you get to the arena on a game day? What's a home game day like for you?
Yeah, so we have a production meeting for the show about an hour before doors open. So tonight's an 8 p.m. start, just like they're all going to be in this round. Doors will open at 6:30. We'll have our production meeting at 5:30, which means I'm going to be leaving home about 4:30 to make the drive into the arena, park, get my stuff situated before the meeting.
And 8 o'clock, a little later start than we've seen in these playoff games, allows Canes fans to get off work and do a little extra tailgating. And we've talked to you throughout these playoffs, Wade, but crowds have been tremendous, right? And it's going to hit even another level these next few games.
Absolutely, yeah. The crowds have been great. They've been loud. You know, every all the media coming in talking about the first two rounds have talked about just how loud it is. The players playing against the Canes talk about how hard it is to play here. And I think after what happened 2 years ago, in this same matchup with the Canes and the Panthers, the crowd's going to be even more excited to get some revenge. So I think it's going to be kind of next level as far as the Caniacs go.
So, Wade, the last three trips to the Eastern Conference Final, the Hurricanes have come away with 0 victories. That's got to change, and we hope it does. Let's talk about the opponent a little bit. What makes these Florida Panthers different than New Jersey and Washington? What kind of challenges do they present for Carolina?
Well, they're the reigning Cup champions, so they know how to win it. There's a lot of that core from last year's championship win that is back. Actually, no, they won it 2 years ago. Time has no meaning. But this is an experienced team. They've won the Cup before. Paul Maurice has done a great job. I think it's a combination of two things I think that'll stand out as opposed to watching Washington or New Jersey. One is their depth. Washington, New Jersey, between injuries and just roster construction, have some star players, but once you kind of get down the lineup, you're starting to find people that the Canes can exploit with their depth. Florida, top three lines are all stars, very solid defense. Sergei Bobrovsky as a goalie is finding his stride. He's one of the best in the business when he gets hot, and he is getting hot for them at the right time, and for us, maybe not so much. And Paul Maurice as a coach has really found the way to get the most out of this group. This is his third trip in a row to the conference finals, is Paul Maurice. And I think he knows inside and out what it takes to get the best out of this team at the playoff time. He's an excellent coach. He was a very good coach for us. And he's really kind of cemented his legacy down there in South Florida.
Yeah, you bring up Paul Maurice. Seems like the Canes run into Paul Maurice, even Peter Laviolette in the past in the playoffs, right? Seems like we see a lot of our former coaches.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of recycling. The NHL is a very green organization. They recycle coaches left and right. Once you've gotten one job, you're pretty much guaranteed for life. But no, Paul Maurice, I was a big fan of his when I was a fan, and he was a coach here. He's a very funny guy. He's smart. And, now with another 20 years under his belt, a very wise coach. But yeah, he certainly knows the team. He knows the building. He knows the organization. And as we saw 2 years ago, I think he knows how to prep his team for playing in Raleigh.
Wade Minter joining us today on Pirate Radio Live, Canes and Panthers game 1 tonight. How about the health of the team, Wade? Saw earlier in the week maybe some questions on Chatfield, Martinook. How are the Canes health-wise heading into this series?
I think healthier as a whole than they've been in any deep playoff run. Jalen Chatfield's not expected to play tonight. He's the only one kind of out of the regular lineup from the regular season that's looking to be out. Jordan Martinook appears to be in. Any other guys that are kind of banged up with bumps and bruises are going to play. It looks like Scott Morrow is going to draw into the lineup in place of Jalen Chatfield. So Morrow will be playing his natural side, as opposed to heralded rookie Alexander Nikishin, who played in the Washington series but caused somebody to play on their offside. And as far as health goes, I think the biggest thing to point to for the Canes knock on as much wood as you have available, is that Freddie Anderson in goal is as healthy as he's ever been, and statistically the best goaltender throughout the entire playoffs. He has been playing at another level. And aside from a little bit of a scare in New Jersey, he is looking like he's as good as we.
Wade Minter joining us here on Pirate Radio Live. How about the rookie Nikishin getting in for his first minutes? I guess in the NHL and in the biggest game of his career, that and they'll only get bigger from here on out. But how did he do? And moving forward, will we see more of him this playoff run?
He did well. He didn't play a ton of minutes, which is, it's in the Rob Brindamore system. It's surprising that he even got in there, much less played any minutes. But he's a very big body, like. I think on his first shift in his first game in the NHL against the Capitals, he stole Alex Ovechkin's. He's not afraid to throw the body. I mean, the guy's nickname is Boom. He did take a penalty, but it wasn't, a penalty that I think you're really going to get mad at. And he looked comfortable out there. So I think he's one of the most hyped rookies to come out of the KHL in a very, very long time. And from what we saw in about 10 minutes worth of work, he looks like he fits right in.
Wade Minter joining us. Wade, we talked to Mike Maniscalco a couple weeks ago. I asked him his, fantasy siren sounder lineup, maybe people we haven't seen in the building thus far. Kind of putting you on the spot here. I asked him for 3. I'll just ask you how many ever you can come up with. Anybody, I guess, somewhat realistic, or you could do a non-realistic, whatever you want to do, but with ties to the state or somebody you haven't seen or announced in the Lenovo Center over the years.
Oh, wow. That is a tough one. I do think one of the nice things that we do get out of the Siren Sounders, especially in the playoffs, is that they do have strong ties to North Carolina. And we draw them from sports. We draw them from pop culture. We draw them from music. So, I think you could look at getting musicians from North Carolina, not necessarily Petey Pablo, because he's done it. You can get somebody like the Avid Brothers out there, draw good crowds. You could get somebody from Hollywood, like an Evan Rachel Wood, Raleigh native. If you really want to see the crowd have a mixed reaction, you can get Belichick up there to sound. But I think that I bet they've got a list of people that as we get deeper in the playoffs and as the games mean more, you're gonna see more folks.
It's a really neat thing, and of course here in Greenville, we joked that Blake Harrell led the charge in the game that he did because it was scoreless. He sounded the siren in period 2, and the Canes took a 2-0 lead. So credit to ECU head football coach Blake Harrell there.
And he looked good doing it. Like, sounding the sirens an art. You get some people who I think are a little scared of it. It's harder to sound than you think it is. It's got some resistance to it. So, if you get folks who aren't really prepared, then it's going to be kind of a weak siren, and that going to bring some bad mojo. But coach really brought it.
Well, Wade, you're probably a little biased, but you certainly know the game well. How do you think the Canes fare in this series, starting with tonight?
I mean, this is the biggest test that they have faced. New Jersey was not necessarily expected to be a tough test, and they weren't. Washington had a great record in the regular season, but I think people watching the games thought that they didn't have the depth or necessarily even the conditioning to hang with the Canes. And I think we saw that late in the games for Washington, they've trailed off. They're an older team. Florida is a complete team top to bottom. And, they showed that 2 years ago. They've shown it in their Stanley Cup win. They've shown it in the regular season. And they play, depending on your perspective, hard or dirty, depending on kind of what side you're looking at. They're going to be the most physical team that the Canes have played. And yeah, as you brought up, there is the kind of dark cloud hanging over that since 2006, the team has not won a conference final game. They're 0-12, which is hard for a team. And, you don't want to start becoming the Buffalo Bills, right? Like, you want to show the world that you can win games and show the world that you can win series. My hope is that for the guys who were here 2 years ago, and that's the Ahos, the Svechnikovs, the Stahls, the Martinuks, the Slavins, those folks are going to have a chip on their shoulder. I think that If they come out with something to prove, if they can match Florida's physicality, if Freddie continues playing well, if Svetch continues kind of his beast mode resurrection, then, I think this could be a series the Canes take and kind of finally get that monkey off their back. But, like Ric Flair said, to be the man, you got to beat the man, and Florida is currently the man. And now it's put up or shut up time.
Canes a slight favorite at home tonight, taking on the Florida Panthers. Wade Minter will be you'll be hearing his booming voice through your televisions, or if you're lucky enough to be in that arena, it's going to be a fun night in Raleigh for sure. Wade, always appreciate your time. Have a great call tonight on the mic, and we'll talk to you again down the road.
All right, let's go Canes. Let's do it.